Well, we now invite Father Sean Loomis, who is a priest of the great Archdiocese of Philadelphia, to join us. And he currently serves as the chaplain to the Deaf Apostolate in Philadelphia. And he joins us today via Skype to share a resource from Ascension Press called Hands of Grace. Father, thanks so much for being with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this project. I think it's pretty special.
Oh, it really is, and we're so glad you're with us. But you're a convert to the faith and ordained to the priesthood at, I think, in 2013. What drew you to studying American Sign Language and serving the deaf community?
That's a great question. It's a question I get often because learning sign language is not something someone traditionally just falls into. And so for myself, I graduated from the great University of Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, which I love and couldn't say enough positive things about. But when I was graduating from there, I was preparing myself to enter into seminary. So I got my degree in philosophy and my theology minor, and I did my Latin. So when I entered into seminary, normally for my peers, they were able to advance a few years because they already had that background, that academic background. But for myself as a convert, it was really important for me to stay the whole window of the 6 years, which meant my first 2 years when my new classmates in the seminary were catching up on their philosophy and such, my schedule was more available. And what was going on a diocesan level was a discussion about the future care for the deaf Catholic community in our archdiocese, what that might look like, and is there a guy that's available that we could train to learn some American Sign Language and prepare for deaf ministry? And of course, that ended up being me because of my academic background at Franciscan. So that's how that happened.
Father Sean, do you know by any chance Father Sean Carey, who has your role, I guess, here in the Archdiocese of Boston?
I know him very well. In fact,
I figured.
We are often referred to as twins because on this one occasion, he and I were at a conference together and I was sitting in a hotel eating and his mother came up behind me and grabbed me thinking that I was her son, and I wasn't.
I figured as much. I figured you know he's of course right down the street now from us. I'm the pastor here in Watertown. He's in a team ministry in Waltham. You might know that at St. Jude's. But anyway, I mention his name because I love the title Hands of Grace. And every time that Father Sean presides at television mass here at Catholic TV, I'm so impressed how ASL can powerfully proclaim the gospel and make present the Lord Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. Can you tell us about how this resource can help people appreciate what we have come to appreciate?
Absolutely. And that's the whole goal, right? Is assessing the catechesis for deaf American Catholics. There really is an obvious difference between what is available for hearing individuals and what is available for the deaf. And so because of that, the rich treasury of the church's heritage is largely missed by the deaf. And so what the Hands of Grace tries to do is it tackles a subject matter, the sacraments, which are key for the economy of salvation, but it approaches it trying to have contact with these different features of our Catholic heritage. So for example, I will, in the videos and then also in the book that you have in your hands there, Your Excellency, I will reference church fathers so as to expose the deaf to the 2,000-year history, but in particular, the powerful statements that we have from those of the earliest church, those closest to the event of Christ. I'll also include little fun facts on the bottom of the book that will reference the liturgy or different things that we do as Catholics to help explain why we do what we do. And then most exciting for the deaf has been, which is my experience having led them through this project, is the artwork that's included in there. And then there's even questions that reference the artwork to help them read art the way that Christian art is meant to be read, through its rich symbolism and what it teaches us about our faith. So all of those things come together in this very beautiful and groundbreaking project because there isn't really anything else currently like it.
No, there really isn't. Before the show, I was talking to the crew and saying how much I enjoyed just looking through the book because it's easy. It's just so easy, and it keeps your attention. Now, who is using Hands of Grace, and can a parish or a diocese use it even if they don't have someone who knows American Sign Language?
Absolutely. So in my discussions with Ascension, that was one of the questions that came up, is how do we tailor this so that it's as accessible as possible? So ideally, obviously, you would have a priest who knows sign language leading a group. That's great. But that is not the norm for most people. And so the videos themselves are in American Sign Language, but there's also, I voiced over so anybody who doesn't know American Sign Language can hear what it is I'm saying with my hands. And then there's even captions involved in it as well, so that everybody, no matter what your skill level is, can have access to it. Obviously, if you don't know American Sign Language, it's going to present certain challenges to leading discussion or answering questions. But what I've composed is a leader's guide, so it has all the answers in it. So there is a text form of that, and it is formatted in such a way that it's group oriented. So it will facilitate very strong conversation among the deaf members themselves who are using American Sign Language to communicate.
Beyond this fantastic resource, Sean, how can, my parish, your parish, and various ministries and parishes and dioceses, how can we together as a church better support the deaf community?
The best way, I think, honestly, and I think Boston is the model for this historically, is to have a contingent of priests that are formed in American Sign Language. My experience has been this massive push to learn Spanish, and Spanish was all the rage in my time in seminary, and for obvious reasons, right? I mean, it's advantageous for us as a church going forward to be able to minister to those who are primarily Spanish speaking. But that shouldn't be an exclusion to the deaf. And one thing that the Archdiocese of Boston has done very well is to make sure that at every time there's always a small group of priests who are familiar with sign language, at least enough to be able to administer the sacraments. And so I think the church going forward, if they want to really be available and reach out to the deaf, the best way is to first of all, have those priests in your diocese, but then second of all, to know who those priests are, so that if you're a priest and you don't know sign language and a deaf person comes up to you, as happens in my diocese, and they have some sort of sacramental need or pastoral need, you know automatically where to go, so that you're not just saying to them, sorry, we can't help you. And what it inevitably happens is Protestant faiths are very good at picking up sign language. So Jehovah's Witnesses, or even some other non-denominational, the deaf will go to them because they have access to that. And I think in my own mind, if only that priest knew where to go. So if the diocese secures a structure in place and then the presbyterate is aware of what that structure is, that's a lot right there.
Well, Father, it's been a pleasure having you on. Where can people order a copy of the Hands of Grace?
The best place to go is to Ascension's website. And on that website, if you go to their faith formation and their study programs, you'll find Hands of Grace. It's got a beautiful page, and any question that could be asked is available to be answered on that page or through their support.
Well, if you come out this way to Boston, make sure you visit us.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Father. Have a great day.
Have a great summer, too.
God bless.
Bye.